Good evening. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Town of Wendell Board of Commissioners and welcome everyone that's with us tonight. We're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Police Chief John Slaughter.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chief. Our invocation tonight from the Wendell Council of Churches is from Calvary Faith Center, and we're going to hear from Dennis Calhoun. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor. If I may, I'd like to highlight two events that the Council of Churches is coordinating in October and November. The first is Saturday, October 25th, and we have been able to work with Food Lion. The various churches in the Wendell Council of Churches all have some kind of food pantry ministry, and we've been able to get approval from Food Lion to solicit food item donations on October 25th from 8 to noon at not only the Wendell Food Lion, but also Zebulon and Nightdale. So we're excited about that, how the community can help us collect food that'll be distributed through our various food pantry ministries. So we're excited about that. It's new to us. It's the first time we've taken this approach, and we're hopeful that it'll have good results.
I hope so too.
So that's in October 25th, which is a Saturday. And then in November, on Sunday, the 23rd, which is the Sunday before Thanksgiving, we'll be having a community Thanksgiving worship service where the musicians from the various council churches will come together in a joint worship service. So we're excited about that. That'll be Sunday evening, the 23rd.
Where's that going to be?
Believe it's going to be at Covenant Presbyterian.
Covenant, okay.
And the time, I believe, is going to be at 6:30.
Okay.
Okay? So with that, if we could go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us here this evening. Thank you for the leaders that you've provided for our town and for the residents who have made it a priority to be here tonight. We pray for your wisdom and guidance as we conduct the town business before us. We pray that the decisions we make will serve our community well. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you again for being with us tonight. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Do you have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, we'll move into our public comment period. As always, the public may participate in public comment by signing up at the door on the night of public comment of the town board meeting, and you have 3 minutes to speak, or you can submit written statements via email to the town clerk as long as we receive them by 5 p.m. on the Friday before the Monday meeting. And if we do, they will be read into the record for the length of 3 minutes. We have 2 people signed up, and we have 1 to read. So let's start with the signed up, and we'll start with Roger Peterson.
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Roger Peterson. I live at 4490 Wendell Boulevard. I serve as the Executive Director of the Wendell Chamber of Commerce, and I come here tonight to say thank you. We have a lot of thank yous to pass around after this year's 97th Annual Harvest Festival about 10 days ago, which I'm just about recovered from. We had by 9,500 devices came to town, so that typically includes a few little kids who don't have devices. So it was a good day, as you know. I was happy to see all of you there, and wanted to thank you for your support, allowing us to take over the streets of Wendell and bring a lot of people here to experience our small town big charm experience. I also wanted to extend our thanks to the staff. So many people on the staff, planning and admin to help us get through the process of getting all this approved, and then yeoman's work by the Public Works and Police Departments. Ernesto, I think I probably saw you out there about 4 a.m. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and also around 10 p.m. Saturday, along with a lot of folks from the department. Chief, the police support was phenomenal, and so we just, once again, wanted to say thank you. We did some new things this year. Our Children's Entrepreneur Market, if you got a chance to go see that, I thought that was pretty neat. We had about 21 children up to 17 years of old selling products, 17 years of age, selling products that they made, and it was a really neat addition to the 97th Harvest Festival, and we're working on the 98th already. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We all had a great time, and I loved the kids. I went through and talked to all of them. It was real cute. The second person signed up tonight is Wes Jones.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Wes Jones, 1940 Prime Point Drive. So I'm here to comment on a very contentious issue, and that is pickleball. No, just something to bring to the board's attention. The courts at Wendell Park and Hollybrook, none of them have benches. I noticed that folks come and they have to bring lawn chairs, things like that. Just something to consider. It might be a spacing issue, it might be a safety issue, probably something you've already approached, but talk to folks and just something to think about, because the last thing this town needs is angry pickleballers. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, can I chime in too?
Sure.
I've had requests for pickleball benches at the outdoor wooden jungle gym thing at the bottom of Hollybrook Park.
We need some benches all over.
Benches desperately.
All these things are brand new. The outdoor play space at Hollybrook Park, the pickleball courts in both places. So we are assessing constantly and figuring things out. So thank you, everybody, for your input, though. All right, Ms. Tu, we have one for you to read aloud.
So we have from David Gansel Sr., who resides at 652 Jasmine Street in Wendell. Dear Wendell Town Council members, I'm writing to express my concern regarding the current speed limit on South Hollybrook Road, beginning from South Selma Road and leading up to Hollybrook Park. The posted limit of 55 miles per hour is too high for this area, and in practice, drivers frequently travel at 60+ miles per hour before reaching the curve near the park. This creates a significant safety hazard for residents, pedestrians, and park visitors. With the addition of the new neighborhoods, the Glen and the Meadows of Hollybrook by Ryan Homes, traffic in this area has already increased and will continue to grow. Families with children, as well as individuals walking or biking to Hollybrook Park, are regularly crossing South Hollybrook Road at the designated crosswalks. Unfortunately, the current speed makes it extremely difficult for drivers to slow down in time to yield to crossing pedestrians. For the safety of all residents and visitors, I respectfully request that the speed limit on this section of South Hollybrook Road be reduced from 55 miles per hour to 35 miles per hour. A lower speed limit will encourage safer driving, improve pedestrian safety at crosswalks, and better reflect the residential and recreational nature of the surrounding community. Thank you for your consideration of this request. I trust the council will take the necessary steps to ensure the safety and well-being of Wendell's residents. I would greatly appreciate any updates or next steps on how this change can be implemented.
Mayor, if I may
I was going to say, do you want to
yeah.
take this one?
If I may just take a minute, though I don't normally chime.
We don't normally do that, but
but-
we need to address this.
Y'all know that I've responded to this citizen and know what the answer is, but the public hearing that comment may
Yes.
not. So I'd like to convey that. Actually, a former board had directed staff by resolution to request DOT to reduce the speed limit on Hollybrook Road. DOT declined at that time. The town has since asked to take over maintenance of Hollybrook Road. This board also funded in its budget funding for a consultant to study Hollybrook Road, Big Falls, and Taylor to convert them more to a town street section. We'll be bringing the road into town maintenance when the local board, the town board, would be able to reduce the speed limit by ordinance like any, but according to state law, we won't rely on the state transportation board to make a decision on that. So that is in process. There is a process to work with the community to look at municipal design, including pedestrian safety on those roads. We just have to work through the process to get.
We've been working on the barriers to this for over 2 years. Okay, just want to make sure everybody understands. We're aware of it, and thank you for staying on it with us. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's move into section 4, our recognitions, reports, and presentations. Item 4A is the GFOA Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for fiscal year 2026. And we're going to hear from our Finance Director, Garrett Johnson.
Good evening, Mayor,
Good evening.
Commissioners. Thank you. So excited and happy to be here. The town of Wendell recently received notice that we received the GFOA's Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. This marks our 7th submittal and 7th time receiving it. This is for the fiscal year 2026 budget, which is what we're currently operating in. So for those watching and those in the room who may not know, the general statutes require a balanced budget for a fiscal year which runs July 1st through June 30th. Balanced budget meaning your expenditures equal your anticipated revenues and any savings, cash savings that you may need to apply to balance. But the town has elected to kind of go above and beyond to provide a much higher level of transparency, much more granularity to the budget presentation that you all review and ultimately adopt. It's I think, a testament to the town's commitment to this, as there are few jurisdictions in the state that participate in this program and receive this award. When I put this together, we were one of 68 jurisdictions in North Carolina. 68 last year. As of this time, we were one of 19 for this particular fiscal year. And there are 100 counties and over 500 municipalities. So one of select few. So something that I'm very proud of. I'm sure Mark and the rest of the team who helped put this together, and hopefully you all are proud of this distinguishment. So thank you for allowing me to talk about it.
Garrett, we are very, very proud of it, and your staff, you, and thank you so much for all the things y'all do. Please pass that along to your team, and thank y'all. Y'all make us look good. So thank you for that. We really appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, if you don't mind, Garrett, can you talk
Yeah.
about what we, I just got to go through a fire department audit last week and reading a different auditor's audit. I noticed that there's a lot of repetition in some of these finance documents, which is why I love the communications document y'all put together this year around the budget. But can you talk about, and that last paragraph gives me the beginning of it, but what you guys are submitting for this separate and apart that is not just the normal part of the audit, like why we're excited about it, I guess
Yeah.
is.
Or Mark, looks like you might want to.
Yeah, so for the budget, GFOA has a set of best practices. Some are required to meet, some are voluntary. Our budget document is submitted to GFOA. It's sent to usually 3 outside reviewers. They review it and let you know if you meet the criteria or not, whether you're distinguished at it or not, or whether or not, and if you don't, they provide comment on how to improve. So each year we work on improving the budget and getting it to a next level. It's anything from like having a budget message, not required by state law necessarily. I mean,
That part is.
actually, I picked the one thing that is. Yeah, the town manager has to provide a budget message, yeah. Sorry, I'm excited about it too, because this is the 7 years I've been here as your budget officer. You can basically look at our budget 8 years ago and see a legally compliant minimal budget, and then you can see every budget since. Usually when I started here, we were about 6,500 people. Towns that size typically don't apply. So we were punching above our weight class like we like to do. But it's important to build trust and transparency in the community and being completely, so it's more about transparency and how you present the data to the public, showing them that you're providing comparative analysis, you're looking at all the other jurisdictions about, tax rates and service levels, and you can see that in our summary document. You can see our staffing analysis. You can see our thought process that we worked with y'all on for that year to get to your adopted policy document. And then the budget in brief that you also mentioned and like is that couple-page summary of summarizing the hundreds of pages of documents and that full budget down to just something that you can glance and work through. We've moved from kind of a printed budget when we started to a primarily digital budget online using ClearGov. And so we work through different ways for different people to see our document and be part of it. It gets into not just listing your capital and items for your expenses, but describing them. There's a lot more robust information all the way through. It's more than a department budget. The department goals and summary of what they do, their challenges and opportunities are all in there. So you get a full picture of what tax dollars are going to do in your community.
Just to comment, Mayor, I was going to tie the amount of work, and I know that Garrett was here just a couple of meetings ago talking about other GFOA stuff, but the amount of work it takes to apply for this is minimal compared to the amount of work it takes to be prepared to apply for this. And there's a fair amount of both in this. And appreciate the legwork that staff's done to put us in a place to consistently perform. Doing it every 3 years is nice. Doing it after a hard budget year is nice, but doing it consistently shows that we're consistently committed to doing things this way. And I think that that's the best, to your point, version of transparency. And just going to commend you on putting us in that position.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item 4B is the Wake County One Water Plan presentation from the town manager.
Yeah, and
Or maybe
Nancy
not, okay.
Daly from Wake County is going to come up, and she actually does all the work. So I represent the town on the Wake County Water Partnership. As part of their bylaws, the town managers or their designees serve, and so I'm appointed by the board to represent Wendell. But Nancy is like the town manager for y'all. She's the actual staff person that does all the work on this. And the One Water Plan represents a collective body of work and coordinated planning that deals with water. I mean, we grow up learning about the water cycle, and it's all one thing. But somehow as we grow adults, we lose track of that. We use water for so many things, and the idea that we're planning in separate ways for it is sometimes foreign. So Nancy's going to present what the county's considering adopting.
Yep.
Or has.
Yep.
So Nancy, thank you for being here.
Yeah. Well,
you.
thank you, Mayor.
Welcome.
Thank you all for having me here today. And special thanks to Mark, who, as he mentioned, is Wendell's representative on the Wake County Water Partnership, which is a board-appointed committee. Mark has been there from day one, and it's so important, certainly with the growth happening in Eastern Wake, that we have that voice and that we continue to hear that perspective. So as, let's see, there we go. So again, as Mark mentioned, Nancy Daly, Water Resource Program Manager for Wake County. So a couple of the roles I have in this is, again, facilitating the Wake County Water Partnership, and then facilitating, while Wake County is leading development plan, as Mark mentioned, this is very much a collaborative effort. It pulls in the municipalities, community input. You know, we can't do this alone, and so from this plan really represents coordinated and collaboration among all parties. So before we jump in to the plan itself, I just wanted to kind of provide some context, kind of set the stage for why this even matters. So, in Wake County, we're very fortunate. We don't have to worry too much about access to water. We've got a healthy water supply right now. And while that's great, it also leads us to take water for granted sometimes. And we don't have to look too far across the country to see areas that don't have access to water. And so this is an opportunity for us to be proactive, plan ahead, to make sure that we have enough water to support our future population growth and economic development needs. It's a limited resource. We're not going to have an endless supply of water. So this is our opportunity to really be proactive, plan ahead, and make sure that we're well prepared for the future. So economic development, certainly water is integral to that. We can't continue to attract new businesses and industries to Wake County if we don't have water. Water supply and water treatment is fundamental need for the continued development and industry in Wake County. Agriculture, again, Eastern Wake is one of the unique areas of the county that still has a large amount of agriculture. We're not going to have that if we don't have access. We need water to irrigate crops. We need water to provide a water source for our animals and population. And so, again, water's fundamental for agriculture, which is a hub not only for North Carolina, but Wake County. Affordability is something we really try to think about with this plan. As Wake County continues to grow, we're going to need to continue to invest in new water resources and not only water supply, but also water treatment. I'm sure many of you have probably heard about some of the forever chemicals or chemicals of concern in the water supply. And so our water suppliers and across the region are working very hard to make sure they're well prepared to treat and make sure we have a clean water supply, but this does require investment in new water quality treatment strategies as well. So in addition to the future water supply, this means we need to just make sure that we plan ahead and make sure that we keep these rates in mind as utility payers. And it doesn't apply just to municipal water users. We have 40,000 private wells in Wake County that serve about 90,000 people across the county. And we also want to make sure that folks on private wells have the means to support water quality testing and make sure that they have a clean water supply and can maintain and repair wells as needed. Artificial intelligence is becoming day-to-day in our work, in our lives. It's hard to do a search that doesn't pull in AI. And while this creates, new opportunities and I guess accessing information, data centers that power artificial intelligence are huge consumers of both energy and water. And so, again, we need to be prepared, looking to the future to make sure that we have water supply should this become an industry in our area as well. Flooding's a little closer to home. Just over a year ago today, Hurricane Helene impacted and really devastated western North Carolina. Tropical Storm Chantel kind of wreaked havoc on Chatham County and Orange County. And you'll see the storms are becoming much more intense, much more localized, and really having impacts on local infrastructure. So how can we plan ahead, develop our infrastructure in a way that's going to be more resilient and really hopefully mitigate impacts so that we don't get to situations like this. Drought tends to be a little farther from our mind. We have short-term memories as humans. I think that's natural, but we don't have to look too far back. In 2007, we had a major drought in the Triangle, and it really affected water supplies in Falls Lake, which is the primary water supply for much of Wake County. And so we need to think about water conservation. Again, this is a limited natural resource, so we need to think about how can we conserve and prepare for future water needs. And then fire is something, Public safety, we take that for granted, I think, oftentimes, but without water, we're not going to have the capacity to respond to public safety concerns. And again, we saw some of this take place in the wildfires that happened on the West Coast last year. One of their big challenges is they were having trouble gaining access to water. And so thinking about how all of this water, it's in our lives day to day, it touches all of us. And so just reiterates the importance that we plan ahead. So we know Wake County is a great place to live. We continue to attract about 66 new people every day. And our population is projected to double by 2070. And so with that projected growth, we also anticipate more than doubling the demand for water supply. Every major water utility is going to have some form of expansion to meet these future demands. And we're fortunate that we do have a strong collaboration of our utility providers in the Wake County, not only Wake County, but in the Triangle region that are working together and planning collectively for this future. In addition, this growth, as I'm sure you know, also can have impacts on loss of open space and forest and agricultural land. So, again, how can we think ahead and plan for these impacts? As part of this plan, we also looked at projected future weather and climate impacts. And so, what we expect to see based on projections are higher temperatures and then as more extreme weather events. So we're likely to have more droughts and worse flooding, which seems kind of contradictory, but what we anticipate and we're kind of seeing today is longer periods between when we receive those large precipitation events, but when we do get them, much higher intensity, which can lead to these, localized flooding. And here's just examples of how this plays out in the real world, locally. I mentioned the forever chemicals and kind of emerging chemicals of concern that have been documented. They're in our environment everywhere. They've been documented in Cape Fear River, Jordan Lake. And again, while utilities are working and trying to stay ahead of this, make sure they have the technology to treat this, it's going to be an ongoing process and, again, require additional investments and preparation from our providers. We talked about flooding and the impacts that that can have on our community and the infrastructure, public safety. And in 2017, I don't know if any of you remember, but UNC Chapel Hill had to actually shut down their campus because they did not have access to a water supply. And public safety said, we can't have classes, we can't run the campus because if there's an emergency, we're not going to have access to water to address it. And then I mentioned AI, so this, some of the high demands on water and energy can be seen in places like Texas, Nashville, Columbus, Ohio. So, this can really create a whole new level in your water supply planning forecast. So again, looking at how this has impacted others in the country, and then how can we learn for it and be prepared. And then finally, just again, thinking about Arizona and how water is limited, even just to attract residential development, residential growth, and supporting housing. Without that water supply, we're not going to be able to do that. So again, these are just news items from across the country that kind of just, again, reiterate how it touches each of us and in our lives. So recognizing this, in 2022, the Wake County Board of Commissioners approved funding for a 50-year water supply plan. And really what makes this plan different, as Mark mentioned, is it's a holistic approach to water management. And so it's not just an equation to look at, this is how much water we have, this is how much water we need. It's looking at all forms of water. So it's looking at, surface water from the reservoirs. It's looking at our natural resources. It's looking at groundwater. It's looking at wastewater, stormwater runoff. All of it's connected, and we need to think about all of these pieces together as we identify future plans and strategies. It also is intended to really build on existing plans and frameworks. So many of you are familiar with Plan Wake, the county's comprehensive land use plan. So this plan was really developed with Plan Wake as a foundation, looking at areas that are intended to stay rural, looking at areas that are intended to grow in more urban city centers, and thinking about what types of strategies would be most appropriate in these different land uses. And we just want to, you know, at the end of the day, we want to make sure we have enough water for, you know, farmers, for residents, for businesses, and that we're protecting the high quality of life that really makes Wake County great, and make sure that we are well prepared for the future quality and quantity challenges. I mentioned that community input was a large component of the plan and will be is kind of integral in moving this plan forward and implementing the plan. From day one, we wanted to hear from the community. We've conducted 2 public surveys, which have received over 2,800 responses. We had a One Water Vision Summit to kind of kick off the plan, which included our water partnership members, as well as a lot of our subject matter experts in the area. We had many technical workshops with representatives from the water partnership that really just help us think about what are the challenges, what do we want to address, and what's the best way to get there. And then we've had many public meetings. So we've met both with the sector-specific communities, such as Home Builders Association, the Raleigh Chamber, the agricultural community, but we've also had public community meetings, so at the regional centers and Eastern Regional Center, Northern Regional Center, and then with community partners like Partners for Environmental Justice. So I mentioned this approach has been, we kicked off in 2022 with a summit to outline our vision and goals, and then in 2023 and 24, we really took just a deep dive into the data. So we looked at both municipal water supply and projections, as well as our groundwater, and looking at our groundwater assessment and what that looks like across the county. We looked at wastewater, and that's, again, both from the municipal side as well as from our on-site septic systems and that the county regulates, and then stormwater across the board as well. So in the last year, in 2024 and beginning of 25, we again worked with our subject matter experts to really focus on strategy development. So given the baseline, given the existing conditions, how can we develop strategies that help us prepare and meet the future challenges that we see? And we have conducted, again, a number of stakeholder input sessions to help us prioritize the strategies that are now captured in the draft plan. So those strategies have been grouped into 4 primary focus areas, the first being optimizing water supply. And a lot of this really focuses on improved coordination across all partners. So again, the county oversees private wells and septic, but how can we coordinate and communicate better with our municipalities as infrastructure expansion occurs? How can we think differently about how we use water so we're not using potable water for uses that don't require it? So how can we capture rainwater and reuse that for irrigation or washing your car? You know, we don't need potable water for that. Water quality and hydrology improvements is kind of the second focus area. And this really focuses on, you'll hear, if you look at the plan, a lot about green stormwater infrastructure or nature-based solutions. And this is really just implementing strategies that mimic the process that nature does naturally. And so we have great examples of what this looks like just down the road at Wake Tech. They implemented a number of green stormwater infrastructure, rain gardens, a green roof, all to help capture rainwater. It serves in educational purposes, so they have multiple co-benefits. And then they also help clean the water and mitigate localized flooding. So these are the types of strategies, and again, we look to just down the road for a great model of this. Third focus area is land conservation and preservation. And this is, again, just recognizing that it's a lot easier to protect these resources while they're still intact than go back and try and restore or mitigate later. So how can we work through the county and the municipal parks, open space plannings and master plans to protect open space, as well as agricultural preservation through things like the farmland preservation plan that's in development. And then finally, the fourth focus area is flood resilience. Again, thinking about public safety, how can we better educate our communities so that they're better prepared when these storm events come? Making sure that our dams are safe and thinking about great infrastructure, culverts and pipes, making sure that as we implement this infrastructure, we're thinking ahead for capacity to meet the future water needs. So we hope implementing these strategies will be able to increase resilience and mitigate some of the impacts that we are projected to see based on our modeling in the plan, so hopefully we can mitigate and reduce that stormwater runoff that carries with it pollutants. Our modeling predicts that we're going to have increased groundwater vulnerability, which would affect base flow and streams, as well as private well users. So how can we focus on strategies that help increase groundwater recharge so that that does not happen? And then again, thinking about how can we work together to mitigate loss of open space. But none of this is going to happen alone. There's parts and roles for everybody to play in this plan. And so looking at some of the roles and responsibilities, as I mentioned, we all kind of have a different role. In the county, we oversee private wells, septic systems, stormwater, as both for the county as well as through an interlocal agreement for some of our jurisdictions, including Wendell, and then Parks and Open Space Program. Municipalities, many are fed by Raleigh or Cary for their primary water supply and treatment. They often have their own stormwater programs as well as parks and open space. And then about, just over 7% of the county is also served by private water providers through community wells or community wastewater. So there's a lot of different players involved in water management, but at the end of the day, we're all pulling from the same sources. And water really doesn't care what jurisdiction you're in or who's managing or who's responsible for it. We need to work together and collaborate on these solutions. So the Wake County Water Partnership has been that core group that has helped us get to this point. Since it was initiated in 2017, the group has really worked on improving collaboration and innovative solutions and just better communication on water management and strategies. So as you can see, it includes representatives from each municipality, as well as agricultural representative, business community, Soil and Water Conservation District. And this is really the powerhouse that we're going to need to implement this plan moving forward. This is where we see, this group continuing to serve that leadership role for plan implementation. So what do we need from you? We are asking again for continued support through the Water Partnership and some of these, and implementing these focus area strategies. And so we anticipate, work groups throughout the Water Partnership that will help us focus and implement these and prioritize these strategies identified in the plan. So that means, requesting additional staff support, just subject matter experts in your areas. So, of course, Mark has been at the table from the beginning. I know he's got a pretty full plate, but sometimes, it's a planning representative, and sometimes it's a facilities representative. Water again touches us all, but we need to hear from the different entities in the communities with their subject matter expertise, so that we can make informed decisions and implement these strategies. And then we just ask that you help promote One Water in the community. Again, I think we tend to take water for granted in our area. And so we really want to raise awareness, let people think about when they turn on the tap, water's there, but we need to make sure there's strategies we need to think about with water conservation, implementing a rain garden or a rain barrel to capture stormwater runoff that will help us protect this water supply moving forward. So we did just wrap up our public comment period on the draft last Friday, so we will be looking at the comments received and taking those to refine and hopefully update and refine the plan. We anticipate bringing it to the Board of Commissioners for final approval in early 2026. And then, of course, the real work begins. A plan is a plan is a plan. I don't think anybody wants to see a plan that sits on the shelf. And so, again, we will be then working with the partnership and our municipal and community partners to really hit the ground running and seeing this plan implemented. And I'm happy to take any questions. I did just want to recognize our partners in developing this plan. So Tetra Tech was our lead consultant. We also had Hazen and Sawyer and Research Triangle Institute support the data analysis and development of this plan. So happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Yeah.
Actually, two questions. Nancy, my first question is, how do you feel about the 40,000 private wells? And I ask that with the context of, we recently had a situation where there was a private well and there was some seepage. Obviously, underground storage tanks do what they do after 40 years, and it was across the street from us, and we were able to solve it. But how do you feel about the other 39,999?
So I think, we're, as I mentioned, looking to Plan Wake as kind of our foundation of our water strategies. So in those areas of the county that are anticipated to stay rural, we would expect that those areas stay on private wells. But in, areas that are growing or expected to be pulled into the municipal boundaries in the future, then, those are areas where we would expect to see connection with water infrastructure.
I would agree with you. One more question. And this may be a General Assembly thing, this may be a Wake County Water Partnership thing, so let me know, but I'm just going to beat my drum. You had mentioned extreme weather and the intensifying effects of recent times versus, say, times in the past. And I guess my question to you is, at what point do we look at the definition of what a 1 year, a 3 year, a 5 year, a 30 year, I see you smiling, so I think you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
At what point do we compare today's storm using 30 or last year's or 30-year ago metrics, and are we accurate at this time?
That's a great point, and that is definitely something that's been discussed among the partners at the table, and something that, we've talked about as part of this plan is to make sure there are several efforts at the state and beyond to look at, update the curves, the projected curve numbers for the storms to make sure that we are sizing our infrastructure appropriately. And then I think locally, different jurisdictions have taken different approaches on how to prepare, how to get ahead of some of that. But you're 100% right. I mean, we're not doing ourselves any favors by looking at models that are based on, 50 years back. We did do some modeling as part of this plan to look at both, water quality and hydrology moving forward. And then, again, that combined with some of our more detailed municipal partners models, I think will all help us hopefully get a better handle on this.
One more follow-up and I'll let you go. We obviously have to decide how we allocate resources. And the longer we allocate resources on a definition that perhaps need to be looked at, we'd like to see that sped up. For me, for my one little vote here, I'll beat that drum, and please communicate that forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Mayor, I think it's probably more of a comment. So I appreciate the presentation. You certainly covered a lot of things. I've always wanted to do this. I watched 60 Minutes last night, and I have a really good question as a result of that. Though the conversation, and the one thing I didn't see us mention was security of the water plant. I know that you're taking a whole approach, but there was a conversation on 60 Minutes last night about the security of water and power infrastructure, but this one was specific to water. And it's really great if we have the right capacity. It's right. This is a security threat that even if we did all the other things right in the plan,
Yep.
could mess it up. And so just encourage you all in the county to continue to look at new threats too.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Anyone else?
If I can just add, you don't have to go all the way to Wake Tech to see green stormwater infrastructure.
Outside.
You can actually look just outside. There's 3 wildflower areas around our town hall that are designed to absorb and diffuse the energy from the rain that comes down and capture that in the ground and let it enter our system a little slower. The other is engineered wetland behind the building is our main. It's not a normal pond for retaining or holding the water. It treats it as it goes through. Part of our consideration is we're also in partnership with the county and state on conservation easement that's along Buffalo Creek in Wendell Park. And so the design of Landing View Drive, you also see changes to a ditch swell. That's part of our agreement with the state of North Carolina, DEQ, on making sure that water's entering the natural system in a protected way. So, yeah, just The last time Nancy and I did a tour of Wendell, it hadn't been CO'd and completed yet. It's gone through a couple plannings and is functioning properly and CO'd now. So.
Which is so exciting. That's exactly what we want to see. You know, I mean, the intentional thought before, you know, at the beginning of the planning process which is what happened here, which is just so exciting. And yeah, Mark, I got a tour of Wendell and got a full education on planning and kind of, you know, the connectivity and the all the great master plans moving forward with the open space and parks and things like that. So it's really exciting to see that you're so forward-looking in Wendell.
Thank you for that. All right, well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. All right, item 4C is our strategic plan update. Going to hear from Mr. Collins.
Okay. I'm going to try not to overwhelm, but it's hard, right? It's past due time for me to give you all the first update from implementing the 2025 strategic plan. So let's get started. Mayor, if they want to, do you want to wait till the end and ask questions, or maybe with each goal while it's fresh? Do you have a preference?
I don't have a preference. If y'all can't wait, we can ask.
All right.
Let's
I'm
not get
picking
out of
up. We're
hand.
going to wait till the end and ask me
Yeah,
questions.
let's try to keep it.
All right. Thank you for that.
It is a public meeting. Everybody might not be interested in every little tiny thing.
You don't have to take it as a
Talking to you.
personal.
He's looking at me. Like, it was like, I got two looks. He's looking at me.
So first, for people who might be new to strategic planning, because I know this board has everybody's gone through it at least once, if not multiple times. You know, what is that strategic plan? Number one, it's a policy commitment between you, the elected officials, as the policy makers, and senior staff and the town organization. There's a commitment, and it's a commitment to identify resources and what we need to do to bridge the gap between what our current reality is and what our future envisioned community is. And so this is something that we're doing every 2 years. We're taking a look and going, you know, this is like moving the big ship, if you will. It's hard to turn the big ship. So every 2 years, we're evaluating what's the direction of the ship. Are we still going in the right direction? Do we need any tweaks? Are there any things that we're missing? And we have those conversations. There's a lot of community input involved in it. It provides direct guidance into our budget document. Jason's just coming back in, but it's actually one of the GFOA budget award considerations is, do you have a direct tie between your do you have a strategic plan, and is it tied to your annual budget? And that's always a strong check for us. And you want to make sure that it's in alignment with your goals. I mean, I think the strong support of this board being able to support a budget is, can you see your vision and goals being implemented in that budget? And as long as you have that connection of strategic plan to budget, you get that feeling, and it's less contentious when you get to your budget process. Your budget's your annual largest policy document. This is the guidance of the direction of it. All right. So how do we get to where we are? Started back in fall 2024 with a retreat of this board. You know, we talk through with department input, your individual input. There's a lot of work that comes up to y'all's combined conversation. From that, initiatives are draft. They're presented out to your appointed boards and citizen groups. We also do a national citizen survey. which is a statistically valid public survey of residents on various community issues. So you hear what the public thinks about your community in different areas. We have a number of 4 charrettes in different areas around town. So it's not just some public drop-in here at Town Hall. We then report out what everybody's heard. We have a prioritization quote-unquote game that we do, process. It then leads to the adoption of the strategic plan, and then that strategic plan is resourced within that budget process and is included in the budget document each year. And then so with 2 years, in the first year, you get an implementation presentation, talk about this is what we're doing, this is how it was incorporated in, here's where we are in the first year. You'll get another update when we get into the budget. When we get to the following fall, each new board, two-year cycles, gets to develop the strategic plan. So we get that input, and you start on the next strategic plan that's adopted in the next budget cycle. But it talks to those 2 budgets. You do that again and again. As I've told the first board that hired me 7 years, and y'all hear it repeatedly, we don't put stuff in the plan that we're not going to work to implement. Everything's important in the plan. Want to point out, National Citizen Survey, we were recognized as a top performer in 2 categories. That means top 5 across the nation. And that was in economy and health and wellness. I was personally surprised. What I messaged to this is the second time we participated in National Citizen Survey. It's a voluntary participation. So if you're a not well-performing community, you are likely not going to select to go into this process. We had never done it before. We weren't sure what people were going to say. We're dealing with a lot of change. So to have that feedback and it be statistically valid and show that we're working in the right manner is reaffirming to the policy direction of this community. One winner from each of these categories will be recognized at the International City County Managers Association Conference in Tampa. I happen to be going to that. If we do win that, I'll let y'all know. Again, I'm tickled that we're in top 5 in 2 categories as it was. So within the document, there's the vision statement of the community. But there's 5 broad policy goals. These are very directional and broad. There's a lot of space to do things underneath. And you can see what each of those are: downtown economic development, community character, public safety, neighborhood improvement, infrastructure, transportation, environment, parks, recreation, special events, culture, and then more the internal organizational culture and communication. So here's the update. That was the introduction. Again, sorry for the length. For goal 1, you're going to see 2 types of initiatives. The first are called management and progress. Those are the ones that usually we've been working on. We're likely going to finish the component or section or all of it within the 2-year period of the plan. This is staff telling the board, we got this. Unless something happens, we got this. And then the next you'll see are strategic initiatives. Those might be new things, they might be broader things, they might be things that you have to take bites of over time. Those are policy directive more than implementation. So for goal 1, management and progress, 1 is the Unified Development Ordinance update. We had done the comprehensive plan update with Blueprint Wendell. The UDO is then taking that policy statement and codifying. That's, we understand when municipal elections are, and we want to be fair to the public about how this is approached. And so a consultant's been selected, they're evaluating data. That process is really going to start after the municipal election so that the sitting board has the opportunity, and we don't do the boards back and forth. Implement the Brownfield program. That's a $500,000 EPA grant that we received a couple years ago. Within this time period, we've done environmental assessments for Pleasant Grove, at Cypress, and 4th Street, Wendell Falls, Eagle Rock Road, and at the end of Boxley. So we've got about 4 environmental assessments done at this point this year. We also had the consultant do the environmental review for the Pleasant Grove Community Center project and work through that federal HUD funding process. Education and health partners. You'll see more on Tree Light Square. Brian and his staff do a lot to promote the need for increased health access in our community. COVID was an eye-opener at a time where we were very limited on pharmacies and institutional partners in Wendell, so that's been a priority of staff, though it's not really within our control or responsibility to achieve those outcomes. We can still encourage and speak that up to the development community, and they've been very responsive. Wake Med also, that was before this plan started, otherwise they'd be on that list as well. Working with Wake Tech is important in that space. Currently, the Advanced Technology Center and the fire training are the phases that are underway right now. General education, the police advanced training and road training sections, as well as their infrastructure buildings are already in place. So that's continuing working through that process. We constantly work with the public school system. Again, a lot of people aren't from here or aren't from North Carolina that are in Wendell now. Towns are different than townships, so we're a municipality just like a city, a village, town, all the same thing in North Carolina. We're not responsible for schools. They're funded by the county and state, but they have their own separate elected board, and the town does not have jurisdiction over that. What we do is provide them technical and liaison assistance in their responsibilities. So helping identify properties such as the Marshburn Elementary site and helping it through the design and permitting process. This year we worked with Wendell Elementary on both road and pedestrian improvements so that people with our LAP project, kids will be able to get to school safer, as well as moving pickup to the rear to keep the roads in front on Wendell Boulevard, our artery functioning. At Lake Myra Elementary, they're evaluating adding another track. And so they're going to need more track out camps in the area. So putting in touch with Pleasant Grove, the Carver Center, Community Center at Pleasant Grove, and bringing that space on, and then having the ability to add new track out space. At Carver Elementary, working with Wake County and Carver, evaluating the potential to lease more than just a field use agreement, but lease the whole park site and back and do more in that space. So we look at how municipal partnerships with education can help provide benefit to both. Economic development along I-87. If you haven't driven out along I-87 in Wendell, then you're missing out. That's the beachfront property that we talked about for decades in Wendell, easy. Wendell Commerce Center is under construction. We're actively working recruitments with the county and state on that property. All of the sites identified in the Wake County Economic Development Site Analysis that we reported on about this year are currently in play, all of them, and a couple others. The rooftops drive economic development, and that's playing out currently in our community. Redevelopment in Cypress Street area. We have environmental assessments being completed on a block area, kind of the west end of 4th Street. There's a couple older auto repair, old industrial site, making sure that's clean and providing it a redevelopment plan using our brownfield plans that if someone wanted an adaptive reuse in that area, that it would blend that area back into downtown. And then Pleasant Grove Area Neighborhood Plan, we have a community survey that was developed. The big trust project has been the community center. And so when the community center project gets underway, that's a signal to the surrounding community that this is all real and not just talk. And we'll be able to move forward with a neighborhood-based plan because we have several areas around Wendell that disenfranchised, well and septic, that are having issues with environmental health, need to have conversations about how to become part of the town in a manner that does not displace people. And so that's part of this plan that we're working with our Pleasant Grove community. So then getting into strategic initiatives, implement next steps on downtown streetscape plan. Plan was adopted this fall. We're preparing the RFQ for Pine Street streetscape. That's the one in the budget this year. It's the first one to get going. We have a developer with the old 3rd Street screen printing property. So there's a good public-private partnership opportunity between those two. It's a good way to work into the process without impacting a large number of businesses. It helps with the gun shop has been trying to do ADA access for a number of years, so they're a willing partner to try and get that worked out as well. So there's a lot of pros to starting there on Pine Street. Hopefully get that designer and contractor selected this coming spring and construction starting thereafter. Encourage infill development while preserving historic structures and architectural elements within the limits of the law, and a lot on this space. But streetscape and parking improvements, that kind of public investment drives private investment. More than a one-to-one. Downtown improvement grants, y'all seen the number of those and interest, and the amount and nature of the improvements are increasing beyond the paint and facades that the town had seen in the past. The brownfield program, being able to assess properties and show that they're ready for market, as well as public-private development agreements like I mentioned prior. You look at housing diversity and affordability, probably the first one that comes to mind right now is the Habitat for Humanity project on Harris Street. They're getting those lots ready for construction from the pre-approved. Our staff promote the Wake County housing programs. In Wake County, the Community Development Block Grant federal funds from HUD go to the county. Wake County as a whole serves for the municipalities other than a few larger ones as the HUD funding. So they handle our housing programs as well as working with private developers. Gateways and wayfinding, we did some initial analysis of what's where and where our jurisdictions. We're really looking at most of that project, though, being tackled in next budget year. Rehabilitation, redevelopment with Wake County Housing Authority. That, again, is relationship building and working for next year. Second floor uses downtown. The Downtown Improvement Grant has encouraged a couple different projects and assisted a couple projects downtown. Promote and encourage, protect public art through the town. You're going to get a public art plan hopefully in the next couple meetings presented to you. We've coordinated with the same consultant that worked with Wake County and Alliance for the Arts. So we have a collaborative partnership in consultants and effort across the county. Downtown library kiosk, probably best at this point to coordinate it with downtown streetscape rather than put something up and then adjust for it later. Encourage downtown business owner group. Hope to work with the chamber and others to talk about that moving forward. Have not gotten that one started at this point. Expansion service levels downtown. That's a good budget exercise for next fiscal year. And that also includes how do you pay for streetscape projects moving forward. So shifting over into public safety and neighborhood improvement, the management and process, as reported out to y'all in the last month or so, Chief reported out, CALIA came in, gave us our first annual inspection after the initial CALIA. Everything's still going well. We're still accredited, meeting all accreditation standards. They commented that our reporting was very well done. And so that's just a maintenance effort. CALIA is a big trust building. If you're exceeding national standards for your police policies, it's just not whether you have the policy, but can you document that you're actually implementing and doing the things that are in those policies. And so we're able to demonstrate that regularly. We're able to improve where we're deficient. But that CALIA review of us gives us an annual reason to make sure that we're living up to our own standards. Department-wide training on implicit bias and community engaged policing, that's a continuation effort. All officers go through our implicit bias and community engaged policing. Our policing philosophy of the department is community engaged policing. That's how we do business. Neighborhood cleanup day, that gets into neighborhood improvement. We have 4 zones around downtown. This will be zone 4. So that's Hollybrook going west to Wendell Falls Parkway. The cool thing about that is the new Public Works yard on Lake Glad Road is also in that area. And so we're scheduling that cleanup day for late spring, early summer. And we hope to have the event included with an open house on the new Public Works yard. Show that off to the public. We also bring out community partners related to housing. We work with GFL. We do cleanups within the community. We can help direct people to resource needs to maintain and care for their homes if they're not resourced to be able to do that themselves. Crisis intervention training. I tell you, mental health awareness and getting people to appropriate services is needed more now than ever before. That training happens for our officers after 1 year on the job. That allows them to be exposed to all the different services and go through a Wake County specific training. But you need to have community awareness before you go through that training. So that's an ongoing thing for our officers. I'm also just going to throw in here, which also applies to a couple others, is training. Training this year, there's for each training certificate of our staff, there's a stipend they receive. So it's a recruitment and a retention tool for some of our best and brightest officers. It also allows us to do some of this advanced training in-house. I think right now we're certified to do all police training other than the road training in the vehicle. All right, got that right. All right, chief's nodding at me, so I'm on track with that. On strategic initiatives, so you see top priority and high priority. For those who might look at this later at home or are watching now, top priority means that when the board did their prioritization of this, 5 or 6 board members included that item as important to them. High priority means 3 or 4. 5 or 6 is kind of a super majority of the board. That's saying almost everybody supports this. 3 or 4 means a voting majority of the board supports this. The others that aren't high or top are still important and included in the plan, but it helps staff that when we're looking at, we have time or we have resources, how should it be allocated? It helps us direct resources to a more appropriate place than another.
Can I say one real quick thing?
Yes, sir.
Because process-wise, I know we do a whole lot of this on the support versus prioritize maybe is an important word. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's many things on this list that anybody doesn't support as much as sort of the way this works behind the scenes is we get a certain number of votes and you kind of got to come up with what are your top 3 off of this list of cool things. And so then the prioritization aligns versus there being some lack of support, which
Right.
was not the point you were making, but wanted to just clarify.
Yeah, the board knows I get overexcited and treat it more like a game show, and y'all just want to move
While
on
we're
with your lives.
clarifying, the synergies on the second line, not syringes, right?
Yes, Did I get a typo?
No, I misread, and it just would be a weird sentence otherwise. It's like, why is the police department and fire department sharing syringes in a joint facility?
Yes.
Synergies that they're sharing. Got
Synergies,
it.
correct, sir. Correct, sir. Yes. All right, so the first top priority for public safety is evaluating design and funding of the new police station in coordination with Fire Station 1. The property that the town has acquired is adjoining to Fire Station 1. So it allows for us, as we work towards the fire merger in a couple years, when we design that, Fire Station 1 needs to be updated as well. And so those properties being side by side would allow, just as an example, building a new Fire Station 1 on what our police station property is, allow for the rear entry and flow through to the front, scraping off old Fire Station 1, building training, EOC facility, and then the new police station. So you're able to work through with those two properties a concept and design to get all of that done. So that's the evaluation that we need to get into a little more detail of how that works, how that's budgeted, how that's funded, over what period of time to get to that capital project implementation. The second top priority is implement special units necessary with growth. I mean, as you grow from a town of 6,000, 7,000 to a much larger town, there's a lot different needs in police department. You don't want all of your patrol tied up in traffic, dealing with wrecks or traffic enforcement. So there's different units that are going to be needed over time to deal with changing nature of town. A big box commercial area is going to need a different type of police unit and response than a residential patrol. So right now, Chief and his command staff are working through different zones of response to reduce response times, but also the nature of work in different days and different times. And so a couple things that y'all have seen this year was the drone program implemented, being able to use technology to work smarter. The second is starting, but the new positions are slated to start in the second half of this fiscal year, is the traffic unit, a sergeant and 2 officers dedicated to traffic enforcement. That allows for the patrols to stay on patrol within their zone and maintain response times and have dedicated people to deal with the unique nature of a commuting ring city. Moving forward, state law allows for unsworn staff at this time, which is appreciated. I've seen that in other states I've worked in, and that helps with your crossing guard duties, filling out a traffic report after the initial law enforcement response. Doesn't have to be a sworn officer. So it's using the appropriate level of law enforcement response for the nature of the work being done. Parking ticket doesn't need a sworn officer.
Mr. Manager, I was just going to clarify that there's no such thing as a crosswalk guard in North Carolina. I know you've been in other jurisdictions, but crosswalks are a thing of the past, correct?
Yeah,
Or the,
traffic concierge.
Yeah.
I mean, we can call them what.
One of the better things that I've seen in the redesign, or excuse me, the LAP project, and I walk EK to school in the mornings, pick her up several days, but one of the parents, because the walkers now, walkers go out the front and the back. It's a complicated system. I can explain that to you later if you want, but a parent in crossing that street, there's no longer a police officer there. They bought a stop sign, right? But there's still a crosswalk there, and they are effectively crossing the street by carrying a stop sign with them. I say all that to say it doesn't take a police officer in a police car to do traffic direction anymore.
Absolutely.
Your point's well taken.
Absolutely. And different types of evaluations like that will happen as we move forward. That's an ever-changing thing. We work on a 10-year staffing analysis. I work with the departments about think forward 20 years about what the community is going to need at that point. Where are we today? What's the logical, rational build out to that time? So those are the conversations we have in that space. This is kind of a redundant one about medical facilities and pharmacies, health. An example is just Tree Light Square. There's a UNC physician's office that opened up this year. NC Orthopedics is finishing its tenant build out. And there was the announcement for Rex Imaging. And then this is just in addition to the Wake Med nearby. So the efforts to encourage and promote and seek partnership within the health and medical communities are paying off. Expand coordinated public safety training for multi-hazard threats is a high. This could be active shooter among other types of events. This board a few years ago started investing in training and equipment for the police department. The Wake Tech campus offers one of the best training facilities outside of military installations in the eastern United States. And we not only use it regularly, we also have instructors at the school. So we're actively working to up our game in that space. Noise nuisance ordinance update. Board recently completed that, so that was a early completed item. Community engagement program is more of an ongoing maintenance, but there's an increased effort that you've probably seen communicated out this year and a lot of new events happening. Part of it's just dedicating a community engagement officer to help work with our communication staff in that space, but that's going to be an ever increasing as we grow. Update the safety program and implement emergency preparedness testing. Our summer intern presented out the draft safety program, so as we work into next spring, we'll work on updating our policy formally and looking at our program implementation in that space. Our town is at a point that we need to start thinking about being able to stand up our own emergency operations center. So been working with communication and management staff and department heads to identify kind of a bench depth of 3 strings of emergency operations center staff. And I'll report that out more as we move forward. Those staff are starting with FEMA training so that they'll know how to operate an emergency operations center, and we'll work with them as we move forward. Our goal is within the next year to have a tabletop exercise to work through in that space. Moving to goal 3, looking at management and progress. Complete the next 5-year pavement condition study. So we've got the pre-qualified engineering firm Summit Design getting going and under contract. So that'll be work completed and then put into the next 5 years worth of budgets, but that'll be reported out to you with the budget process next year. Stormwater management implementation, equivalent residential unit study, ERU study, that just looks at what one residential unit worth of impervious surface looks like and costs. We already have a $75 per lot fee for stormwater fee. This would be an additional amount for non-residential development that, like a commercial shopping center has a lot more paved area than your house. So the idea that they should pay the same amount as a residential owner isn't an equitable solution. So this study helps justify a charge for that more intensive use on our stormwater. That would be, again, having the data to help with the budget development, because that becomes part of your fee schedule for next fiscal year. Intersection improvements, Wendell Falls Parkway and Wendell Boulevard. I think everybody sees the street closed, so we know that one's underway. Finally. That's federal money that goes through the state and is administered through the regional transportation planning organization. So getting from initial concept, I think the town had tried to work through this maybe 8-10 years ago, Mayor. And so we're finally getting there, right?
Yeah, we've been working on it a long time.
Yep, I know the side, this is part with the sidewalk that goes out to Food Lion. That and this were really one project in concept originally, the Wendell Boulevard Pedestrian Safety Project. And so this is from a funding standpoint, it got divided into 2 grants. So this is really the second phase of that project being implemented at this time. Utility merger, we're part of Wendell Water along with Raleigh Water. We're no longer Wendell Water. Raleigh Water along with, for those at home that not be aware, Wake Forest, Knightdale, Rollsville, Wendell, Zebulon, Garner, and Raleigh. So we all use the same water and sewer provider, the city of Raleigh. We meet quarterly and talk through different issues as merger communities. The last 2 things we need to do to close out, Raleigh has a capital project they need to finish, a water line on Martin Pond, and we are conveying properties and easements as we have those surveyed and pass them on to Raleigh, consistent with the merger agreement. So that takes time. From a utility rate standpoint, that it was closed out a couple years ago. Also updating the utility allocation policy, not started yet. Kind of would like to see how the UDO process goes to know where the utility allocation process goes. Design and start construction, Wendell Falls Parkway and Eagle Rock Road. VHB is completing design. Got a development agreement with Wendell Commons for them to actually start construction. You can see all the work that's being done out there, and that'll shift to the roadway here within the year. Cemetery improvement plan, you received the plan from WC Fry Design, and we're working to prepare and return the amendments needed to implement that plan. So working into strategic initiatives, updating transportation and pedestrian plans. We kind of done that project by project, but we're more scheduled to look at it from a more comprehensive standpoint in next year. Regional transit partners, you're getting ready to get a presentation on the expansion of the ZWX bus line. For Eagle Eyes, you can see that there are a couple of new bus stop signs already on Wendell Falls Parkway covered up right now. One's kind of close to Martin Pond and the other's down near Taylor. And then y'all received the report on Go Wait Microtransit, and the town took the lead in that program and continues to lead. Sidewalk condition survey, that'll be updated with PCS next year. Complete design improvements, intersection Wendell Boulevard, Eagle Rock Road. That was presented out recently to the board. And so we'll be finishing up design and moving on to construction funding following that. And then rail crossing Wendell Falls to Wendell Commerce Center on Wendell Valley Boulevard. That's scheduled to start within the current fiscal year to get further into that. Sustainability program, that's a next year item at this point. Analysis of pre-regulatory landfill, that's off of Lake Glad Road there at Buffalo Creek. Brownfield program funding isn't eligible. The town was the quote-unquote polluter. There is a state fund for cleaning up those sites, so we need to kind of step back from the brownfield program assessment and look at other assessment funds to get to that state funding for cleanup. Downtown and Blakeford Dam stormwater projects. Public Works is working with Withers Ravenel right now on some federal FEMA funding that can be used for stormwater issues to prevent downtown and urban flooding. And then we are going to release the Blakeford Dam request scope from stormwater engineering firms that were pre-qualified in the next couple months, and that's the Brighton of Wendell that we had the friendly condemnation, and their open space came to us with the failed dam that's creating the sedimentation issue on the stream outside of the town jurisdiction. That will be combining in with the north side park that used to be Pepper Point Phase 2. Tree health and street tree program. Couldn't quite reach funding to look at the arborist and stuff this year, so we'll be looking at how to incorporate that into next year's budget. Parks, recreation, special events, culture. Hollybrook Park, check. Main Street Greenway design and Main Street Neighborhood Park. The Greenway is fully designed and approved for construction. We have a reimbursement agreement with the developer of Magnolia Towns. We also have a development agreement where they build it and then we pay up to a pre-agreed amount. That's part of Fred Smith's contract. That should start construction as soon as Fred Smith and the developer get mobilized and agree on the start date. So that shouldn't be too long. Once we know something, we'll report that out and communicate it. Main Street Neighborhood Park design is contracted with Surface. This is same company that's doing the Buffalo Creek Greenway. They will start in the second half of this fiscal year with construction to follow. That's the approximately 8 acres that's on Main Street Greenway that Magnolia Towns is kind of behind the new Public Works yard, but it'll be a little neighborhood park along the Greenway. Encourage Wake County to complete design and start construction of Lake Myra Park. Nothing's changed on their website since the last time this was reported, but they approved the new concept plan earlier this year. The county expects design and permitting to be complete in 2026 and to open the park to the public in 2027. I'm getting the same, yeah, I can't even keep it. I'm really hoping our partners will live up to this timeline. Coordinate with Wake County on the new community library. Just had a good conversation with county staff, looking at our current community center site. That building is not ADA compliant and has some utility design issues that make it not suitable to continue as a building long-term. So as we build the new recreation center, which you'll see in the strategic initiatives, that site can then be scraped and move on to its next new and better use. Community center at Pleasant Grove. He had the groundbreaking yesterday. How exciting. People were openly crying and hugging. Southway Builders will be ready to construct here and within the month, hopefully start construction. We're working out some logistics with the school that's in the other building and the church and how things work, getting that final contract language worked out. Very, very excited in that space. On strategic initiatives, new recreation center is a top priority of the board. First thing, we're coordinating the first part of design is the extension of the driveway. So it's reimagining our entrance to Wendell Park and connecting it to the back of Industrial Drive. So that drive connection through, that helps with road access to the new field complex. So that's why this is the first part of design for the new rec center. It also thinks about all the other uses that are happening and what are the infrastructure and utility needs for those facilities as they go by and what driveway access points and to what parking along that way. But it also provides the driveway access to the new recreation center. We used 3 pre-qualified firms. We've got those initial scope of services responses and are being reviewed by staff currently. The RFQ for design for the new recreation center was released today. So if you work for a design firm that does recreation centers, it's a good time to go on our website and download that RFQ. And in our CIP, the construction is expected to begin 27, 28. We're not behind schedule on bond funding a capital project. That's when it was in the capital plan. So we're on schedule for the project. Each project that we're doing relies on other projects' work to be completed. So the recreation center is tied to the athletic field complex, the fourth one on that list. Athletic field complex, the design and permitting is about complete now, and then we'll move to contractor selection and construction early in 2026. From that, we move to the new recreation center construction. So while one's being designed, the other's being constructed and so forth. And then once the recreation center's designed, then it frees up the space for the county to come in with their library bond funds and build the library. So each of this is planned out over time, and it allows us to know how much bond money that we're borrowing at what time period. We don't want to borrow and expend funds until we have to. You don't borrow the money and then something happen in the economy and not be able to move through and put your taxpayers in that situation. So everything is timed out and moving according to schedule currently. We're probably 75, 80% done updating our greenway plan. Need to put in some funding and finish some mapping on that, but that's a multi-department team. Brian and his staff have been really good working through that. Expect that to be completed within the year. Parks and Recreation Master Plan, you can tell we have a lot of Parks and Recreation projects going on right now. We gave Jeff a little breather to say we'll start that next spring. So we're trying to time out our projects also to base on how much staff we have to work on all these projects. Buffalo Creek Greenway, just got the final condemnation for the easement. We're within the last couple month.
It's on the court calendar for Thursday.
Good. All right. So within the month, we'll be set to go there. We're getting the final construction documents and everything put into place. So construction on phase 1 will start hopefully with the new year in 2026. Design of phase 2 is scheduled for next fiscal year in our capital program. Phase 1 takes us from Wendell Falls Parkway all the way through Wendell Park, about to the new athletic field complex. Phase 2 takes us from there to Carver Elementary School. So that combined will be a couple miles of trail. Natural Resource and Open Space Program, hope to work on that next fiscal year. Construction schedule and concept plan for Northside Park, looking at next year. Working on getting the dam fixed and dealing with the environmental stuff, and then working towards the next step. That would also include the extension of Todd Lane across to Old Zebulon to give that a little bit of breathing on the north side of town for a connector across to Marshburn. Expansion of programming for diverse and special populations. Carver Community Center at Pleasant Grove gives us more classroom and space for specialized program. East Wake Senior Center, we've taken that on completely within the town over the past year. Programming's been improved for those populations. Wake County Community Library that I've mentioned already. And then Wendell Community Center. We've been offering more diverse programs to help take some of the programming off of East Wake Senior Center at our community center. Looking at the Wendell Park concept plan improvements, the first thing is that drive. That's the first thing of those master plan improvements that'll be done. Pickleball courts completed based on feedback tonight and shifting a couple poles. Still got a little work to do there, but we're getting there. The splash pad, pump track, skate park, outdoor courts, they'll be coordinated at the library project. Part of that is we can't turn all of our one big park into a construction zone. We need to kind of work on the west side, get the athletic field in the new recreation center, and then come back to this side. And while the county's got the library disturbed, we can look at the timing of doing the other two as well. They'll time out about right for that. And then kind of playing into the field and court facilities, we added a field use agreement with Pleasant Grove this year. We're evaluating Carver Elementary School property. We're starting construction on the athletic field complex, and we're evaluating land. Where's our next community park site? We're a growing community. We're going to need more fields and more for different sports. Our Parks and Recreation Master Plan that'll be completed this spring, early summer, will help guide what we need where for that. But we're always evaluating. You always want to buy land at the earliest, cheapest availability and seek partnerships in that space. Goal 5, and there were only 5 goals to remind those counting at home about how long can a manager talk. Continue implementation of the ADA transition plan. That's a legally required thing. 7 years ago, we became responsible legally under the Americans with Disability Act. One of the first things you do with that is create a transition plan, which the town did. So we've been working through improving, replacing both facilities and infrastructure. Public Works takes a lot of the lead in that space and has been doing a lot of work. You see them out there grinding down sidewalks and smoothing trip hazards. That's also ADA compliance work that has to be done regularly. You look at the number of crosswalks and the tactile mats and things, the leveling of those crosses are all work that our Public Works Department does in that space. So thank you, Ernesto, and your crews for that. Also, our digital platform has to be accessible. And so when we've updated our website, and Tyler and Communications do a good job at making sure that remains accessible to the public as well. I know that in talking with each of y'all individually, when we get into budget, maintaining a people-first philosophy in all that we do is critical to each of you. It's consistent year after year, the first thing that y'all tell me when I sit down with you. And y'all have done a lot in that policy area. Implementing the classification and pay study that was completed last spring in this current year's budget does more for retention and keeping quality and recruiting quality staff than anything else that we can do. That's market average is what that's based on. We don't pay top in class, we pay market average. Our benefits are a little bit above average, and our organizational culture wins. And it's because we put people first. That's based on data, not what I think or feel. It's the outside consultants' work. We have low turnover rates.
Absolutely, Jason. I've got you.
We got you, Jason. Yeah, low turnover rates continue, and we're oh, no problem. And there's, our recruitments are very strong for vacant positions. When we put out available positions, new positions, the candidate pool is very strong and very deep, and we're lucky. A lot of that has to do with the culture. People self-select to stay or to come here to work. That saves a lot of time and money for people who don't have a lot of time to work on doing recruitments and dealing with turnover and a lot of personnel issues. We save a lot of time and money not having HR issues. The Public Works Yard facility is in progress and on schedule. So far, the couple things that have come up in budget, Brian's been able to solve within the project budget or his department budget. So that's positive there. The contractor, HC Reynolds, doing phenomenal work. So we hope they continue that. Implement Wi-Fi services in downtown and park properties. That is complete. Greg and his team, in partnership with Public Works and Parks and Rec, have the downtown Wi-Fi and Wendell Park Wi-Fi up and running. Looking at strategic initiatives, Professional development, part of what gives you good employees is investing in them to be good employees. That's from me all the way down to everybody else in the organization. You support me. I present on behalf of our town to the International City County Managers Association. We just don't attend the conference. We showed leadership in the organizations and reflect well on your community at those. Our new Assistant Town Manager, Jeffrey Brown, is on the American Public Works Association Board of Directors. Credentialed management is important. It shows a commitment to the code of ethics. It also shows a commitment to ongoing education. In police, as I mentioned, CLIA accreditation was affirmed. Chief attended the FBI Academy, and other command staff have attended like developmental programs and trainings. Planning, Brian presented at the National Brownfield Conference in Chicago on our work at Pleasant Grove. And he and his staff attend conferences. Finance, you've had a month or two now of award recognitions on the efforts there. Garrett and his staff attend GFOA conferences. Public Works attend conferences in all their disciplines across the various things they do, and Parks and Recreation is invested in maintaining their certification, their staff certifications, and attend conferences. So it's across the organization at all levels, and that makes sure that your staff can show up for your community the way that you want to in a people-first organization. Tyler and the communications game that Assistant Town Manager Smith oversees really stepped it up a notch this year. I mean, you can tell Tyler's handing things with updated website materials, increased community outreach, and our social media is definitely enhanced. Tyler's also a weather guru, so he's also worked in the state EOC at least once, and is an improved liaison for Public Information Officer Services in emergency operations. Customer Relations Management System, we hope to really get into that next fiscal year. I was hoping to get into it more this year, but we're doing some product reviews currently. Facility needs analysis is another thing that's critically needed in the next fiscal year. As the town grows, we need to make sure that we're thinking through financially about what we need where across everything we do, public facing or otherwise. Wellness and public health awareness is right now on hold for our HR director recruitment to wrap up. That's currently in process, as well as the cross-department opportunities and organization-wide programs and efforts. I need a director-level effort in that space. We've worked with the financial advisor. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. You're a fine gentleman tonight. I appreciate that. I think I covered everything there. All right. I know y'all, hopefully I took so much time that your questions are deadened a little bit, but I know that y'all will call and text and email me everything that is being held up, but I'm here and will stay as long as you'd like tonight to answer whatever questions you may have on any or all of the items. That's a lot really fast. Y'all know, because you get weekly updates and the reports and communications, that there's a lot going on all the time. Yeah. And a lot of the time what the public thinks that y'all do and the town does isn't necessarily our space or jurisdiction. And it's good sometimes just to come here and open the fire hose and let it go a little bit and say, hey, these are the big things we're working on beyond just the core service level. Police officers still have to respond when you call. You know, Public Works is still unclogging drains. Planning's still dealing with permits and citizen requests, all the things that are just happening day to day in what we do. This is the other priority directive.
We've come a long way.
We do a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. The strategic plan, it always makes me real proud of all we've accomplished and the direction we're heading in. Is there anything from the board? Any questions right now?
Well, Mayor, I know when we first started talking, we talked about low-hanging fruit.
Yeah,
And
we did.
I think what you're acknowledging is we picked the whole dang tree now.
Yeah. Now we're on to planting our own and then picking them. We're doing a lot of great things, so makes me very proud.
Thank you. All this doesn't get done without 98 other great staff positions that y'all authorized and a lot of really good people working.
All right, we don't have any public hearings tonight, so we'll move into our administrative items. And the first is item 6A, the Carver Community Center at Pleasant Grove Shared Use Agreement.
All right, and once again, hopefully I'll be a little shorter on this one. But a lot more excited, perhaps. Long time coming. All right, so we have the old Carver Elementary School that we're converting to the community center. Before we start tearing up the community center, the old school, and turning it into a community center, the owner needs to know something and the town needs to know something. And that's what this use agreement's about. The owner needs to know, what are we going to do with the building? Who's responsible for what? And how are the uses compatible? And the town needs to know that before we invest that amount of money and other grant funds into it, do we have a long-term commitment to use this as a community center in a manner consistent with a town facility? And so that's what the use agreement lays out. If we were to go acquire land, build a community center, and operate it, that's what's in these terms. Nothing more, nothing less, other than one item. The one item is we have a faith-based property owner, and they just want us to respect their practices and principles as we operate. So we won't knowingly do something adverse to what their belief system is. And when something like comes up, there's a mutual agreement process in place, alcohol being an example of that. But otherwise, we would pay for the utilities, we would put in the security system, we'd maintain the property and the parking, we'd be responsible for repairs and janitorial if that was our building. The only difference is we don't own the dirt. And at the end of this very long agreement, we don't own the building, but the usable life of the structure is covered within the lease agreement. And I know y'all have had that for a little bit of time, and the summary is there before you. If you have any specific questions, I'm glad to answer those from the agreement. Thank the town attorney's office for reviewing it. Thank staff for reviewing it and providing input on that from several different departments, including our purchasing and contracts manager. The church membership received a report from Pastor Bell last week and unanimously voted to approve the use agreement. I can't think of when a church has unanimously agreed to do anything in the history of humankind. So that was a statement. Yeah. And for all of us who were there yesterday at the groundbreaking, you could feel why in the excitement. But again, this is the use agreement. Happy to answer any questions you may have from your review.
All right. Any questions from the board? All right, do a motion?
Madam Mayor, this is a really cool motion to get to make, and certainly appreciate town staff for working through this. these types of things don't happen often because they take a lot of work and they take a lot of effort to get to it. And this use agreement is demonstrative of this project. I think it's good all the way around. Yesterday was a good day. Madam Mayor, I'd move we approve the Carver Community Center Pleasant Grove Shared Use Agreement and authorize the town manager to sign same.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion to approve the Carver Community Center at Pleasant Grove Shared Use Agreement and to authorize the town manager to sign the agreement. Is there any discussion on the motion?
One thing real quick, Mayor, to Commissioner Joyner's point, I think he's right on this. Just so you guys watching at home, I'm not sure we could get a parking lot paved for what we're actually putting in for town funds. The rest is grant money, federal money, matching funds, and a whole gosh darn lot of work by people, not me, but in the room, the staff, commissioners before I got here, did a heck of a, Pastor Bell, the church, everybody did a heck of a job getting here. I saw 95, 97-year-old people, again, brought the tears because of how long it took for that process to happen. So I appreciate it. It's a great deal for the town, but it's also a great thing for the town to do. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Anything else? So we have a motion to approve the Carver Community Center at Pleasant Grove Shared Use Agreement and authorize the town manager to sign it. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No.
Thank you.
Item 6B is the Brownfield Task Orders Numbers 22 and 23, Limited Phase 2 Environmental Site Assessment Services for 21 West Boxley Drive, and a change order request on some task orders.
Yep. Good evening, Mayor and board members. Tonight before you is the Brownfield program. I will say we are roughly about 65% of the project from the funding from EPA. We have spent it and used it on task orders, so we are continually moving forward on that project. Task order 22 is the newest task order. It is related to 21 Boxley Drive. It is right across the Buffalo Creek from the town's old landfill. And so as part of this, that property is now Town of Wendell land, and so the task order is currently assigned $74,600 for the Phase 2 environmental site assessment work. Task Order 23 contains adjustments related to all the other task orders and work that's been completed. Each task order previously stated up to a certain amount. That can always vary based on what's needed and what the work cost. And so you'll see there's quite a few task orders that have been completed and the estimates needed to be readjusted for the actual cost. Task Order 23 contains adjustments to 9 task orders that were before you previously. The adjustments are well within the grant allocation from EPA. Highlights of the adjustment include work related to authorized HUD funds for work at Pleasant Grove, asbestos reports for a few projects, and lead-based paint abatement as well. I can field any questions you have on the 2 task orders.
Okay. Anything from the board? Any questions?
Madam Mayor, I move we approve the task orders 22 and 23 for the town service agreement with Geosyntec.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion to approve the task orders 22 and 23 of the town service agreement with Geosyntec. Yes, sir.
Clarify that also authorizes the town manager or his designee to sign.
Yeah, can we add that in? Okay, and to authorize the town manager to sign. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
No one opposed? All right. All right, our last item tonight is item 6C, the noise ordinance update. We're going to hear from Assistant Town Manager Smith.
Good evening. We'll see if I get the accolade of shortest agenda item of the evening. Bringing back the noise ordinance that was before the board for a public hearing on August 25th. Received feedback at that time. Staff incorporated those changes. This item is ready for adoption at the board's pleasure. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Thanks, staff, for their work, and a motion to approve the noise ordinance update.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the noise ordinance update. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
No one opposed? All right, thank you. All right, moving into our other business, we have a couple update on board committees by town board members, 2 from the Wendell Fire Department and the Wake County Fire Commission, Commissioner Joyner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll have to give you an update on the Wake County Fire Commission at our next meeting. It has been moved to this Thursday, so I'll be doing that one this Thursday. The Wendell Fire Department Board of Directors met last Thursday. And as a reminder, daylight savings time is coming up, and so every time
Alarms.
it is flipped for the last 10 years, I've reminded you it's time to do your smoke alarms, check your smoke alarms, and if you are a resident of the community and you're not sure if your smoke alarm works, or you're not sure if you can reach all the way up there to get it, call the fire department, and we'd love to come out and help you with that. We know sometimes folks don't want to climb on ladders, and if you're going to fall down, we don't want you to climb on that ladder either. The other cool, fun update is if you've ridden around Wendell Falls recently, or if you just see this truck riding around town, there is a truck with 113 on the side of it. That is the newest, prettiest piece of Pierce manufacturing that the fire service has seen. But that's Wendell's newest engine. It was designed by our firefighters, Ben Griffin, who actually has served on the planning board before, but helped design portions of it. And there's a video online where we've lowered in that particular unit the rear hose bed. It doesn't sound like a lot to you guys, but when the thing you need to put the fire out is 7 feet above your head over a tailboard, sometimes redesigning a fire truck is a game changer. So Wendell has a new, fully designed by Wendell fire truck, and it's number 113. So if you see it, take a look at it. I think it's pretty cool. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. All right, we'll move into our commissioners' comments and stay with Commissioner Joyner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I asked the town attorney a question before the beginning of the meeting, and I'm not going to, I have communicated to him that I would like this information, but I'm not going to go through the dramatics of asking him a question in front of all of you, other than to say that I'd love, there was a lawsuit, the mayor said earlier, there's things that, or the manager said earlier, there's things that you guys see that go on all the time that aren't going on, or that the public doesn't know about. There was a lawsuit that was dismissed that was brought against the town federally by Ms. Harmon. There's a variety of lawsuits, but generally speaking, we don't talk about lawsuits when lawsuits are before us. So the question is the cost of the lawsuit and understanding what the cost of the lawsuit is now that that lawsuit has been dismissed. So I'd love to be able to understand that in the future, and would just ask that we look at that. And then, Madam Mayor, I want to, just for a second, kind of talk about how we talk to each other, and just Wendell for a second. I sat and listened tonight as we listed tons of good things that are going on in town, and it is something that I've been ruminating on for a couple of months, really. But we do best when we work together and when we're pulling together. Some of these projects that we looked at tonight are complex, and some of them aren't solved in the way that they were originally that thought we would need to be solved. And it took communication across, particularly with Pleasant Grove, a faith community, a Parks and Rec community, federal government, county government. And to do that, it took a lot of things, but it took the town's reputation, it took the town's trust, it took a commitment to showing up constantly, and it took a lot of planning and forethought. The same right that anyone has to public comment, they have to a lawsuit. The concerning portion about lawsuits for me is when they don't pretend to achieve anything. And this is a public record now. I encourage anyone who's interested to go read it. But this would have taken out the plans. The first request was to get rid of the plans that had been developed. As a community, we need to work together, and we're doing a great job of working together. Being able to understand the actual cost of division, I think, would be helpful. Being able to understand what and how things evolve over time, and so the question that I have about this lawsuit particularly is the cost of it, and the fear of it is more broadly that there's a national website that's associated with this particular lawsuit. I heard multiple projects come up tonight that were on the bubble or had just been completed or were in this financing model for 2027. And my fear is, long-term, if it used to be a Facebook comment and someone would get upset and you'd argue on Facebook, and that's fine. And then it became a public comment, which is also, you're right, you have the right to go do any of those things. But if a new vehicle for being upset about something is going to be filing lawsuits, and the League of Municipalities, the benefit for the town is that we use the League of Municipalities, so the cost of the lawsuit is kind of hidden to us or not directly felt by us in that year because the League of Municipalities is at least possibly covering the cost of those lawsuits. If this continues, though, and if everything that was just outrage or was just a post on the internet gets filed as a federal lawsuit, I wonder about our courts, and I wonder about our ability as a town to be able to budget something 2 years out if we don't know how many federal lawsuits you're going to be defending next year. I think it's a wonderful thing that things resolve themselves eventually, but there hasn't been a conversation about this, and I don't know that this particular topic or our particular case is special or unique. I think that this may be happening all across the country. I think it might be happening lots of places, but I think for municipalities, if we're trying to plan the park and next year it's $50,000 and you tell me that if I get sued, it's $50,000 for outside counsel to represent me, how do I plan for that? So I'd love any information you can get us from the league on the cost of this lawsuit to us. I can tell you that the cost number, if you could have told me tonight that, Mr. Joyner, the cost of this lawsuit was $350,000, my response would have been, no, it's not. It would have been the cost of that is more. There's some trust element for the town. There's some reputational things. But at the end of the day, sometimes costs are worth it. I'd like to be able to understand that, and I'd appreciate us being able to look at it in a way that protects our future ability to plan, because it kind of seems like this is a thing that other municipalities are going to continue to deal with. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Lutz?
I just wanted to echo Mr. Peterson's comments earlier. Just thanks again to the Chamber of Commerce, to the town staff, to the volunteers, to everybody who came out and made Harvest Festival. It just seemed busier this year than ever before. I mean, it just seemed like a lot of people were there. And just every year I go there, I feel like I just see new faces every year that I haven't seen before. So it's a great event, and just thanks to everybody who made it happen, because it was a good one.
Commissioner Eatman? Commissioner Honeycutt?
I think we're going to look back years from now and go, man, that Commissioner Joyner guy was prescient, was Prometheus. I'm not just Wendell, but I'm worried about pro se lawsuits with ChatGPT that you can just file frivolously. And then we have to pay taxpayer dollars. Let me say that one more time. We have to pay taxpayer dollars to defend. I think that's a valid concern for municipalities going forward, and I would echo his concerns. Love to find that out. Second thing, and you mentioned Roger, I'll say this. Roger, if you're watching, or please someone tell him to watch this, the one guy we forgot to thank left the building, and the mayor doesn't like a round of applause, but I was going to ask for it. But the reason why Mr. Peterson knew that he saw Ernesto at 4 o'clock on Thursday in the morning, and 4 o'clock on Friday, and 4 o'clock on Saturday, I saw Roger. It's got to be 10 o'clock that night. The Band of Oz was playing, wrapping up, and Roger's like, we're like, how you doing? Doing great. I mean, he was there for 100 hours. So Roger, wherever you are, thank you, sir. Job well done. Mr. Jeffrey Brown, I don't know if you've had this officially, but welcome on board. I saw you yesterday and shook your hand, but I don't know, I hope I didn't usurp anybody's authority, Mayor. I apologize if I did. Thank you for, she normally hits me with a gavel when I do that, but anyway.
Tell you about the gavel.
She doesn't, guys. Mom, Dad, I'm joking, she doesn't. Sorry, guys, we've been a long night. The town manager spoke for about 3 hours. It seemed like 3 hours. Sorry. I love him. Two more things, and I'll let you go. There is a candidate forum tomorrow, so if you want to find things out, I don't like to speak about electoral things here from the chair, but go check it out and become well-informed. Golly, it has been a long night. Thank you for the chamber for putting that on. The last thing, and I won't say the most important thing, but it might be to some, there's this little small band, kind of a rink-dink kind of thing. This guy owns a bar downtown. You might know him, Kevin something or the other. I think the band Stone Age Romeos. He's going to play Friday night, Meet on Main. He knows I'm joking if he's watching this. Love those guys. Please support downtown Wendell. Please support those guys. They do a great thing for the community. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Deloach?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll just mention a couple things that have already been said about Pleasant Grove yesterday. Really cool event, long time coming. Those are pretty obvious, but it was a true celebration yesterday, so that was exciting. If the weather cooperates, maybe 18 months from now, we'll be back over there cutting a ribbon, which will be a great day. I remember many years ago, Commissioner Joyner and I were there for an event, and we stood outside and talked about what if and what could be and what may be, and it really happened. And yesterday was a big step in that process for sure. We're not there yet by any means, but looking back that many years ago to yesterday was pretty cool. So to know that I should be a member of this board upon completion is really a cool thing. And I will encourage, obviously Commissioner Joyner and Commissioner Lutz, you guys to come back on that day for sure. So excited about that. Also tonight, you did get an update on our strategic plan. Thank you, Manager Collins. An hour long. I didn't put a time clock on you, but thank you for that. You heard, all the things, and it was mentioned before about, what we get accused of doing and not doing and that sort of thing. And that was truly just a high level, like, here's what we've done, here's what we're working on, here's what we've talked about. And those are the things that made the list. So, we've certainly talked about other things. You heard economic growth, public safety, infrastructure, transportation, parks and rec, and, probably the most thing that I'm proud of, the biggest thing, the people first mentality. So it really does take that, and having traveled to other towns, paid attention in other places, it really is something to be proud of here. And I will say, a little bit snarky, but what you didn't hear, any of the goals or initiatives for us, figure out how to add more rooftops. So we get accused of that quite a bit. We are good stewards of your tax dollars. Just so you know, we're very intentional and we're very thoughtful about what we do and when we do it. I think you heard a couple of examples of time frames or timelines that didn't really work because it wasn't in the town's best interest, whether that was from a ability to do it with staffing, or whether it was a funds or financial thing. So I feel that we're being fiscally responsible in that. So just understand, if you have any questions about this, I know that if you can't reach us for some reason, something is wrong, because the information is readily available for all of us. So again, doors open, phones wide open. If you have questions, certainly a very comprehensive report tonight. But if you do have questions or if you need clarification, please reach out. I will echo what Commissioner Lutz said. I joke every year when I show up for the Harvest Festival, I volunteer. Commissioner Eatman and I did check in for the parade. And we were probably an hour in when I heard the same thing I've heard the last probably 6 or 7 years, which is, this is the biggest one yet. That's the most people I've ever seen here. And it's not a 2 in the afternoon or 7 at night thing. It's like right out of the gate. People are there for the parade. Used to know everybody along the parade route. Not the same anymore. It is really a beautiful day. So I will challenge the chamber staff to figure out. I know we're only at 98 next year, but we do have 100 coming. So I feel like we got to do something special for that. So I think I'm out of words now. I didn't talk as much as Mark, and I'm good. So tonight was really I know he hates to hear it, but it was a solid Mark Collins night tonight. So good job, town manager.
Hear, hear.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. So I can't not mention the Pleasant Grove groundbreaking yesterday. It was really a great, great day in Wendell. We have always believed that that part of our town was part of our community, but there's nothing that means more to folks sometimes than official things like that, and that's what that was yesterday. And the partnership that we have with them and the friendships that we have developed with them are something that I treasure. And it was just a really great day, and I can't wait until it's finished. And they mistakenly gave us a 1.5 year deadline, which I know people are thinking, oh God, because it's already in my calendar. So I'm holding them to it. That's very important to hit deadlines to me. The Harvest Festival, another one. Wow, what a great event. I ran out of candy in the parade, which I never run out of candy. I am very handful throwy because I don't throw real well unless I throw a big handful. And, but I ran out of candy, and I always have a ton. So I owe some candy to the last leg. But it was a fun day. I saw town staff there all throughout the day. It was packed. The parade route, 6 or 8 deep. I was just astonished at how many people were there. So it was very fun. And thank you to them. Thank you again, town staff, Harvest Festival, the Chamber of Commerce. It was great. It was a great day. Really showcased Wendell. The benches came up tonight, and I've been thinking about it a lot. And I know that I thought about it again when we were talking about when Mark was talking. So we start at a level up here, and then the town staff gets down in here, and sometimes benches and things like that aren't really part of our purview as a board, but they get brought to us when there's a complication. And I do know that they are new, and both pickleball areas, the Hollybrook Park, all of these things are new. And so as we bring new things online, we have to kind of figure out, and sometimes we have to work the kinks out of them. And we've already done some other things that I've already bothered them with about signage and the lights at the pickleball courts over here. And now we will add benches at Hollybrook Park at the playground area, as the nature playground area, whatever y'all call that, I forget what it's called. But anyhow, we need some benches there too, because parents that have letting their kids play need a place to just kind of sit and watch them and wait. So we'll make those adjustments, and thank you for bringing it to our attention. We always need to hear, because I haven't been on the adventure playground, so I don't know. Not yet, but I will be going. Quick reminder, we've heard about it already. The last meet on Main is this coming up Friday night, and it's Kevin Bedingfield. I believe I said he was playing last time. There had been a change due to weather and scheduling with bands, and so it got flipped, and it's going to be this time instead. So the Stone Age Romeos are going to be playing. There's food trucks, kids area, lots of fun. I looked at the weather this afternoon. It's supposed to be like high 68, I think, on Friday right now, and sun. So by that night, it should be nice and brisk and a great night to get out. So please come out and join us. It's always fun. Another reminder before we meet again, the Wendell Trick or Treat Trail will take place at the right over here at the community center on the nature trail. That's always fun. I've got to get more candy for that as well. So I've got a lot of candy I've got to pick up. I'm behind and got to get more for that as well. But it's always a fun night. It may not be too late if you're a local business for you to participate. You can contact the Parks and Rec if you're interested in doing that. There's tons of people that come through. It's a chance for you to showcase your business. It's not a scary thing, so please bring your kids. It's just fun, and they get to walk through and trick or treat, and it's safe and fun and a fun little holiday event. One other thing that I wanted to mention about the strategic plan update is that I wanted to thank Mark for it. But I think that people don't realize that this is part of our budget planning process. And so once we lay out the things in the strategic plan, we start up here and then we're already have started kind of narrowing in the funnel so that when the budgeting time comes, we already know we've made a commitment on numerous items and how to make them move forward. And so now we've got to figure out how to pay for them and what we can and can't, and then that might wind up getting moved on. That's why we update it every 2 years. It's very important. It's also a nice reminder of all the fun things that we've done throughout the year. But thank you, Mark, for a great presentation. It always makes me proud whenever we talk about all the things that we've done. So it's been a great year in Wendell and a great 2 years, and I'm sure the next 2 are going to be great as well. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, we're adjourned.